we broke the military agreement with France on December 31st, 2024. At the time of our message to the nation, we set for January 31st, 2025, the date of victory of the complete withdrawal of the French forces from all of the national territory of Chad. Thanks to God and in concrete response to a patriotic commitment made to the Chadian people, we are witnessing today with a real, profound and legitimate pride the effective closure of the last French military base established at the heart of our capital for several decades.
This is the journey to one Africa.
Précis. Et avant toute autre chose, je voudrais m'orienter vers le Tout-Puissant.
In this precise moment, and before anything else, I would like to direct myself to the Almighty Creator to express my infinite gratitude. Many events have led me to speak since I arrived at the head of the country in April 2021. But the occasion that brings us together today is extraordinary. It is unique and historic. It is indeed an unprecedented event that crystallizes a strong symbol, a new vision and a resolute commitment. Even better, it satisfies one of the most emblematic, legitimate, widespread and profound aspirations of the people of Chad as a whole. It is therefore an exceptional day in the march of our country that marks the effective end of the French military presence in Chad. As a Prime Minister for 125 years, I weigh and measure my words perfectly. This agreement was never given in its essence and applied on the ground, as we have just done. The French military presence in Chad dates back to the 1900s. More than a century and 2 decades of presence in one form or another, at the time of colonization or at the time of independence, with a signed agreement or even without an agreement. Today, Chad has all the teachings that come from this form over a year of military cooperation. Distinguished guests, dear compatriots, this January 31st, 2025 marks the definitive and complete withdrawal of the French forces stationed in Chad. It is, in a nutshell, a new sunrise in the sky of a Chad, entirely sovereign and resolute in assuming its destiny. On November 28, 2024, on the day of the 66th anniversary of the proclamation of the Republic of Chad, we broke the military agreement with France. On December 31st, 2024, at the time of our message to the nation, we set for January 31st, 2025, the date of victory of the complete withdrawal of the French forces from all of the national territory of Chad. Thanks to God and in concrete response to a patriotic commitment made to the Chadian people, we are witnessing today with a real, profound and legitimate pride the effective closure of the last French military base established at the heart of our capital for several decades. This withdrawal, looped by the takeoff of this same base from the old French military yesterday at 3:50 p.m., represents a major step in the new map of Chad, which aims to rethink bilateral and multilateral relations with all countries and within various international institutions. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the members of the Commission in charge of the implementation of the denunciation of the military cooperation agreement with France for the efforts made in the completion of the assigned mission. My sincere thanks also go to the French party for promptly collaborating in the calm, respect and serenity in the implementation of this decision in accordance with our will and within the agreed time. 505. Distinguished guests, dear compatriots, Chad affirms its commitment to transparent, active and reciprocal international relations. It fully subscribes to the principle of a respectful cooperation of state, sovereignty and advantageous to all parties involved. By resuming total control of all the French military bases established in our country, following the breakup of our military cooperation with France, we do not resume our relations with France, but we put an end to the military dimension of this cooperation. This precision deserves to be highlighted in the most absolute clarity. The military cooperation with France has marked our history for decades. We recognize that at times, through this cooperation, France and the French army have played an important role. However, several geostrategic and geopolitical realities impose a full review of our partnerships. Chad will remain open to dialogue with all its international partners, including France, in respect of the principles on which the relations between the countries are based. Distinguished guests, dear compatriots, a frank dialogue with all our partners is for us the imperative of the quinquennat that we have entrusted to all the Chadians who aspire to see their country, without crossing any form of inadequate or without real impact on the daily lives of our compatriots. This new orientation emanates from our will to take our destiny into our own hands, to strengthen our autonomy and to build a future where our national security rests first and foremost on our own forces of defense and security. Since the years of independence of our dear country, we have gone through many turbulences. We have, through these periods, learned to be resilient, to rise again and to make way for our development, often with obstacles that we must overcome now and absolutely. It is therefore a true grace for our humble person to preside over this ceremony, which will remain in the annals of the history of Chad. Dear compatriots, it is therefore necessary to count on the bravery and professionalism of our forces of defense and security built on a high sense of patriotism at the cost of all sacrifices. We must build an even stronger army, better equipped and able to respond to the permanent security threats of our time with full efficiency and independence. We must forge new alliances based on mutual respect and without losing sight of the demands of independence and security. It is in this form of cooperation that I dream of refounding Chad. It is the place for me, as Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, to pay a vibrant tribute to our forces of defense and security, to all these men and women who every day assure the protection of our country at the cost of their lives. You are the actors of our stability and our independence. The government will always be on your side to ensure that your noble mission is fulfilled flawlessly. I commit myself, and I will see it personally with the help of God. Distinguished guests, dear compatriots, the sovereignty for which we work in Chad is much more than a vague notion. It is the expression on a daily basis of our collective freedom, of our ability to decide our future, to protect our values, and to defend our interests. It must embody our common will to exist as an autonomous entity, to determine our own laws, to choose our alliances, and to trace our own path in a world in constant mutation. It must be said that sovereignty has never been a gift. It is a conquest, the fruit of struggles, sacrifices, and constant commitment. Our ancestors fought to give us this freedom so that we could live in an independent, proud and respected nation. Today, it is our responsibility to preserve this heritage and to pass it on to future generations. However, sovereignty does not mean isolation. In an interconnected world where challenges cross borders, whether it is climate change, economic crises, or secret threats, sovereignty must be articulated with cooperation. To be sovereign means to have the ability to dialogue equally with other nations, to actively participate in important decisions, while preserving our identity and our interests. This is why today, more than ever, we must be vigilant. We must strengthen our institutions, defend our interests, protect our economy, preserve our culture, and invest in our education. We must be proud of our history while being open to progress and innovation. Sovereignty is also the ability to adapt, to evolve, without ever losing the lives that we are. Also, sovereignty is not limited to the state or the government. It rests on each of us. It is nourished by our civic commitment, by our willingness to participate in democratic life, to defend our rights and to assume our responsibilities. A sovereign nation is a united nation, aware of its strength and determined to preserve its future. I will not be left out. Young people, it is now or never that our generation must rise up for our country. We must go together, build together, speak the language of refounding and harmonious development. Our differences in political sensibilities and opinions on the country's management must not offer a fertile ground to the enemies of our nation. We must put the Chad, its independence, its right to self-determination, its territorial integrity, and its international sovereignty above all consideration. This country is great and rich. We have all the possibilities and potential to make it even greater. Stand up and get to work. Your freedom will be born from your courage. Raise your eyes, the future is yours. Long live the sovereignty of the Chad. Long live the Chad. Long live the Chadian National Army. Long live the Chad, refounded and strong. May God bless you. Thank you.
Pour faire en sorte que votre noble mission soit remplie sans faille. Je m'engage et j'y verrai personnellement avec l'aide de Dieu. Distingués invités, chers compatriotes, la souveraineté pour laquelle nous œuvrons au Tchad est bien plus qu'une notion vague. C'est l'expression au quotidien de notre liberté collective, de notre capacité à décider de notre avenir, à protéger nos valeurs et à défendre nos intérêts. Elle doit incarner notre volonté commune à exister en tant qu'entité autonome, à déterminer nos propres lois, à choisir nos alliances et à tracer notre propre chemin dans un monde en constante mutation. Faut-il le dire, la souveraineté n'a jamais été un cadeau. Elle est une conquête, le fruit de luttes, de sacrifices et d'un engagement constant. Nos ancêtres ont combattu pour nous offrir cette liberté, pour que nous puissions vivre dans une nation indépendante, fière et respectée. Aujourd'hui, il est de notre responsabilité de préserver cet héritage et de le transmettre aux générations futures. Toutefois, la souveraineté ne signifie pas l'isolement. Dans un monde interconnecté, où les défis dépassent les frontières, qu'il s'agisse du changement climatique, des crises économiques ou des menaces sécuritaires, la souveraineté doit s'articuler avec la coopération. Être souverain, c'est avoir la capacité de dialoguer d'égal à égal avec les autres nations, de participer activement aux décisions importantes, tout en préservant notre identité et nos intérêts. C'est pourquoi, aujourd'hui, plus que jamais, nous devons être vigilants. Nous devons renforcer nos institutions, défendre nos intérêts, protéger notre économie, préserver notre culture et investir dans notre éducation. Nous devons être fiers de notre histoire, tout en étant ouverts au progrès et à l'innovation. La souveraineté, c'est aussi la capacité de s'adapter, d'évoluer, sans jamais perdre de vue qui nous sommes. Aussi, la souveraineté ne se limite pas à l'État ou au gouvernement. Elle repose sur chacun d'entre nous et se nourrit de notre engagement citoyen, de notre volonté à participer à la vie démocratique, à défendre nos droits et à assumer nos responsabilités. Une nation souveraine, c'est une nation unie, consciente de sa force et déterminée à préserver son avenir. Je ne saurais laisser de côté mes semblables, les jeunes. C'est maintenant ou jamais. Notre génération doit s'élever pour la patrie. Il nous faut aller ensemble, bâtir ensemble, parler le langage de la refondation et du développement harmonieux. Nos différences de sensibilité politique et d'opinion sur la gestion du pays ne doivent pas offrir un terrain fertile aux ennemis de notre nation. Nous devons mettre le Tchad, son indépendance, son droit à l'autodétermination, son intégrité territoriale et sa souveraineté internationale au-dessus de toute considération. Ce pays est grand et riche. Nous avons toutes les possibilités et les potentialités pour le rendre encore plus grand. Debout et à l'ouvrage, ta liberté naîtra de ton courage. Lève les yeux, l'avenir est à toi. Vive la souveraineté du Tchad. Vive le Tchad. Vive l'armée nationale tchadienne. Vive le Tchad refondé et fort. Que Dieu vous bénisse. Je vous remercie.
Face 7, une autre facette de l'information au Burkina Faso.